Tuesday, and you know what that means, Tom?
Premier League show.
Welcome to Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth fan channel, but we do like to talk about the Premier League, especially this week because we're above the dotted line. If you're brand new to the channel, you could do a couple of things.
Yeah, click like because that gets out to more people, and then hit the little subscribe while you're there as well. Why not? Because we do this show every week, and we will. If you're in the Premier League, we will be talking about your club. Even if you're in the Championship and you think this is where I want to get to, you know, we'll talk about all the weekend's action. So, and this time we're in a little bit more positive spirits. Let's be honest.
So that's Tom. I'm Sam. Let's have a look at the league table. There it is. Spurs are top of the league. 2 points clear. Manchester City after their 3-0 win over their neighbours. They go third. Arsenal, they're still up there as well. You know what? It's shaping up almost how we predicted it in our early season predictions. However, the main thing is at the bottom, as we said, AFC Bournemouth 17th. Let's take a look at the weekend results there. And yeah, Bournemouth, as Bournemouth fans, we were very, very happy despite that VAR debacle. We may talk about that, may not. Arsenal wiped the floor with Sheffield United. Brentford, wow, Wolves got a point. And there you go, Sunday's results in amongst it. 3-0 to Liverpool. Brighton dropping points. Villa, amazing. What happened to West Ham? We'll talk about it in this show because we, Tom, have got 5 talking points. Will we talk about Liverpool? Hold your horses. We might do later on in the show. Maybe the title lured you in, did it? Probably did. But first, Brentford. Are they back? Chelsea looked lost. That was a game at lunchtime, wasn't it?
It was.
Chelsea weren't up to their usual standards. I say usual. They've had a bit of a renaissance recently, but it's almost like they went backwards again.
Yeah, that's what's weird, is just touched on Chelsea first, is that we've all been saying on these sort of shows that, okay, Chelsea look like they're finding their feet. Cole Palmer's coming to the team now, Sterling looks good, maybe Poch is getting them sorted. But again, it was the same old stuff where they just look toothless, don't look like they can score. They have all some neat and tidy stuff, but you never think they're going to score, which we know ourselves, we drew 0-0 with them. But what we need to focus on is Brentford, because they had a really good result not long ago against Burnley. And you thought, okay, Burnley are struggling. You know, Brentford, I'm still not sure, but yeah, they played the game perfectly, mate. They kept the door closed on Chelsea, but took their moments. Obviously, a bit of a laughable one at the end because the keeper comes up, but they deserve to win. And even without, obviously, Tony, as we all know, they're still functioning pretty well. And there were probably moments already this season where people go, could Brentford get dragged into a scrap? And already you're starting to go, it's unlikely.
But that's how it shows the Premier League. All it needs is a couple of results back to back, and all of a sudden people are now thinking, oh, maybe not. Yeah,
no, exactly, mate. And I think we mentioned this before, but whether he's likeable or not, they've got a good coach in Thomas Frank, and he still makes them function really, really well. So, yeah, big win for him as well, because that was one I thought, you know, Chelsea will probably pick up 3 points there. So yeah, credit to Brentford, and going away at Chelsea, whatever you say or however they're playing, if you go and win there, it's massive. We've done it a few times, but it always feels nice.
Are Sheffield United up to it? They got battered and bruised. Nketiah was in amongst the goals. Great Hattie. 5-0 at the Emirates, and even Match of the Day bringing up stats for worst Premier League starts. When they're doing that, you know you are having problems. I think the writing was probably on the wall for them before the season began, where they lost a couple of their prized assets, and it's going to be an uphill task for them this season. It really is.
It is, yeah. And we all knew it would be for all the promoted teams, but in particular Sheffield United for the reasons you mentioned. But I think we've said on previous shows that I actually thought, okay, I remember that they just lost to City, and I thought, okay, maybe they have got that spirit there, and and then I know it's Arsenal, and you know we've spoken enough about how good they look. And credit to Nketiah for his hat-trick as well. But they just didn't, you thought, right, they've done it against City, they put up a fight, they did it against Man United, and they just never really did it, and you're thinking, have they got enough? Just not, it's very early, we know that, but I look through their team and go, okay, they're probably not going to have enough goals, so can they be resolute and hard to break down? And evidently not in this sort of game. They're not going to be judged on these sort of games, let's be honest, but I'm just not sure that you look at other teams that are going to be in amongst it, and you just think, have they got a bit of an edge to Sheffield United? And it feels that way. They need to pick up some points soon, and they need to get that first win, because now, obviously, because of ourselves, they are the only team that haven't won, and just got that 1 point. It's starting to look a little bit concerning for Sheffield United, and I'm starting to worry that they might click the panic button on their gaffer as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get. They look for a little bounce somewhere. But yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, they just got absolutely wiped the floor with by Arsenal.
A few shows ago, we said, is Dyche done? Well, maybe he's not quite done yet. Look, it's been misery on the blue half of Merseyside, at the start of the season at least. However, there's been mirth in Merseyside also for the red half as well. We'll talk about you later on, Liverpool fans. We are weaning you in, aren't we? However, good win. Good win for them. Excellent win. 1-0 at West Ham. And it's fair to say they need their talisman. And he stepped up again, getting that goal.
Yeah, he played really well. And I watched the game and I thought Everton were the better side, to be honest. West Ham had their moments. They're always going to and they're at home. But I thought Everton were brilliant. And it's weird because, as you say, we've said, is Dyche up to it anymore? There was a few performances. But this was prime Dyche in terms of being organised. I think Brantwaite has helped them a lot at the back. I think he looks really, really good. Pickford made some big saves and big moments as he does. But with Calvert-Lewin having a focal point, and they've actually got, we know, with Dan Juma not really getting any minutes, so they've got a little bit of quality on the bench as well. Harrison's coming into his own as well as McNeil, and I look at Everton now and I'm going, yeah, they look pretty well organised under Dyche, which is kind of what we all anticipated. It's just felt like it's taken a little bit longer than I thought.
Slight European hangover from West Ham, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, when we briefly went over the results, mate, you saw Brighton. It was a little bit of a surprise that they dropped points at home. This happens, especially when you're new to it, Newcastle as well, when you're a little bit newer to it. I know West Ham have had seasons now, but yeah, it does test your squad a little bit, and I still think that with Antonio leading the line, who's not young, they don't seem to trust Danny Ings to play him enough. So you're looking at that and going, oh, they're lacking a little bit there for squad depth. But still, regardless, going to West Ham, keeping a clean sheet and getting 3 points was big. And it was one from the weekend that we were a little bit disappointed about, because Everton would have only been a point above us if they had lost.
Do you think they've got it in the back of their heads, this kind of 12-point thing? Is it going to happen? Is it not? Maybe let's just get the points on the board just in case. You never know.
Never know. I'd be surprised, especially if it happened this season. And obviously we know there's another club that's got a few more charges over them, so we'll see what happens. But no, listen, I think Everton, everyone's kind of like, every season they're just struggling. At least Dyche is getting them organised and getting them, winning like that away from home is big for the supporters. And I'm kind of, even though it doesn't help us, I was kind of pleased for them because they probably earned that and they did deserve to win the game.
So Everton fans, you might want to close your eyes and ears now because it's time to talk about Liverpool. Can they win the title? Really good win over Nottingham Forest, 3-0, really good performance. I thought they were superb. By the way, I saw a Forest fan's tweet saying, this was my view at 2 o'clock. So he was looking at the stadium inside the ground. 2:40 walking outside and he'd gone. What? Come on, 2-0 down at that point in time. But some Forest fans not overly happy with Cooper Ball. And look, it wasn't, when you're playing Liverpool, you're always going to be up against it. But we've
had some tough ones at Anfield, haven't we?
We've had some. But look, let's put the focus back on Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely.
They were good. They were good.
And Forest are a team that is, I always feel like Forest are that type of team that are a banana skin for the big boys. I remember Arsenal on the opening day just got the job done, but there's times where you think Forest could upset a team.
They could be well organised.
Yeah, they can. So to beat them so comfortably, and Liverpool, I think what's impressive now is we've spoken about teams in Europe, and they've managed to win both games comfortably, and also just a few little, take him out of the side, put him in the side, and it doesn't look too different. Obviously, they had the issue with Luis Diaz, with what's happened in Colombia with his family. I hope that sorts itself out, obviously. Really horrible story. But they've got players now that you think, you take him out. You mentioned to me actually off air how Gravenberch suddenly is looking like a good player. Saw that in the week.
I thought he was great.
Yeah, but Liverpool, I just think because of the Tottenham story, which I appreciate, we've spoken about enough on this show, that they've come out of nowhere, a bit like Arsenal did last season. Arsenal are still there, and City are City. You're forgetting that actually, if you look at the points, Liverpool are in it, and could they win the title? You'd be surprised. But I feel like they're in the race.
They've got a number of players that I feel are on an upward trajectory, such as Darwin. His start wasn't particularly great, but now he's sort of, he's getting the goals, something that he obviously thrives off. That chance the other week where he went round the keeper and hit the post, that's so new. They ended up scoring anyway. However, he just needs those moments. Ideally, they go in, and then his confidence will thrive, and as a result, the team will thrive.
Yeah, he's one of them players. He's going to cause defensive problems all day, but you're not sure. He'll miss a sitter, and then he'll score a work. He's chaos, isn't he? But the way that Klopp likes to play, and the players, it kind of works. And I think, and what the fans are so great at it. I've listened to, for example, the Peter Crouch podcast, and he talks about it. He had that run where he couldn't score, but the fans were brilliant for him, and they're like that with Nunes. And yeah, he's looking a bit better. Salah's always got the quality. And yeah, I just think they're shaping up quite nicely now. And I think they're, weirdly for Liverpool, such obviously a massive football club, going under the radar because of Tottenham, because of how good City and Arsenal are. But I think they're in it. It might be a stretch too far, but I think they're in it. And
you never know.
yeah, I don't think what I'm saying is, I don't think they should worry about like the League Cup.
No.
Like whoever they've got in the League Cup.
Yeah, who
they got a game tomorrow in the League Cup. I don't know who they're playing.
Who have they got?
But I think they should just throw that.
Yeah, who are they playing?
Playing Bournemouth. Oh. So I think we let them win 9-0. Just let us have the League Cup.
Just that.
Can we have a little bit of a
you
run?
Concentrate on the league.
Yeah.
We do the cup.
You got. Go and win the Europa. Go and challenge for a title. Forget about the League Cup. It won't do them any good, in my opinion.
Please.
Yeah. Forget that. But no, honestly, Liverpool starting to really start ticking now, and I think it's just they're a surprise package that I think could be in the race that I think people are forgetting about.
In the race. You know, another team that could be in the race. The fifth thing we noticed this weekend, there are two teams in Manchester, but they are miles apart, and they really are. Manchester City, they were phenomenal. Man United had their chances though, but they were just so limited. I mean,
Yes.
Man City just ran that game.
I'll tell you when it's noticeable is obviously Gary Neville's doing it, and obviously he's Man United. And when he's got a say in a Manchester derby, I thought we were alright for the 6 minutes. That just says, done it. Like, they're looking for a positive and they found the first 6 minutes. I think what was going into, we'll start off with Man United in terms of, if you're them at the moment, you're just scratching your heads because it's a derby and so many of their players, their captain, Fernandes, is just, he's not a captain in that sort of game. They brought on Anthony, who's obviously had his problems. He comes on the pitch, petulant yellow card. Their best players are probably Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire at the moment. Crazy. Onana made some good saves. He's had some criticism, so fair play to him, made some big saves. But it's levels, mate. It's absolute levels. And I know with United, there's the ownership issues, and that does play a part. It does, because it filters through the whole football club, and Gary Neville spoke about it enough. But the Glazers aren't letting Haaland on his own in the box. But I just thought Man City they are just incredible in all areas. But Bernardo Silva, by the way, never gets the credit. He was just
superb.
He's just unbelievable.
Runs the show.
And now what you get is the back four are solid, and just every part of them. Haaland's a joke. He's inevitable. Haaland, he's just inevitable. It's just ridiculous.
And in a way, it flattered United, especially with the chances that Man City. I mean, Haaland's header that was saved just before half time. What a save that was!
Yeah, very good save. And now they got Rodri back as well, who just makes it tick. And
at some point, Kevin De Bruyne will be back as well.
Oh God, yeah, they are exceptional, and the way they play is just they're almost it's a compliment that they're boring.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't get the ball off them. And I'll tell you what, if you're the next team that's playing them in the Premier League, I would be worried.
You wouldn't want that.
Oh.
Who are they playing next?
They're playing us.
Really interesting hearing the conversation between Cara and Neva on the culture in Manchester, on the western side where Old Trafford is, and each and every manager that succeeded Alex Ferguson, it seems to always go back to the Glazers. But I don't know. I mean, I understood it from Jamie Carragher's point of view because, the football should be unaffected, really.
Yeah.
However, there seems to be a bad culture there and a toxicity that seems to prevent good football happening.
Yeah, I was going to say, I totally appreciate what Neville says. I think he made a bit of an analogy, which I kind of get about, if you had school children just always misbehaving all the time with different teachers. It's not always the teacher, is it? You've got to look at the whole part of it. And things like the stadium not being up to scratch and all these sort of things. And it almost goes the other way. You get that thing of, the managers aren't picking players. Are they giving too much to the man? Because he's just signing everyone that's been in Eredivisie. Yeah. He's signing loads of... Well, there should be someone else doing that because, there's not a great record from that. But equally, like Carragher said, it didn't work with Mourinho, but you could see that they were playing a Mourinho way. Yeah. It didn't work with Van Gaal, but you could see... I can't see a Ten Hag way.
But one of the things he did say is that Manchester United are getting these managers in an unstable environment. Well, Spurs got Ange Postecoglou, and at that point they weren't particularly stable. Fans were having to go at Levy. It wasn't a great atmosphere, and he's managed to change the culture within 10 games.
Yeah, no. Totally.
So why can't Ten Hag? Is it just like the nature of the beast? They are such a big club, so much expectation. It's that much of a harder job, maybe. I don't know. It
feels like that. And every player, I think Neville said it. It's not like these players they're bringing in. You think, why have they brought him in? Loads of clubs wanted Mason Mount. Man United weren't the only club that wanted Mason Mount.
That's right.
But when he goes to Man U, he automatically becomes bad.
Graveyard, I think, was the phrase
that was the phrase. And
used.
These aren't players that no one wants. They're all... Man City tried to get Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
You know, these are top players, but when they go to Man U, it's like they haven't got... I don't want to doubt their character, but it's like they can't cope with the responsibility levels of being at Manchester United. Whereas people like your Roy Keane, like your Gary Nevilles, they thrived on it.
Yeah.
We're seeing now Jude Bellingham, for example, at Real Madrid. You think,
right.
Is that going to put the pressure on him? He seems to be coping all right.
I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, so it's a weird one. There's loads of question marks over it, but they still don't look right, and it must be hard for him seeing the other team in Manchester just are a joke.
Right, let's talk about the official observations from this weekend. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how does that? We're just going to wait. We're just going to wait for a bit. We're going to wait for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't wait 5 minutes, 28 seconds, but we'll wait.
Oh, no.
VAR.
I hate it.
So, look, if you didn't watch Match of the Day, you probably don't get a proper gauge of how bad it was. Click the card at the top of the screen if you can. Appreciate this is from a Bournemouth perspective, but this is the vlog that we put out. Even we don't keep the camera running for 5 minutes 28. We're filming the best bits of us all waiting for this decision to be made, but even that feels like a lifetime on the vlog. We were waiting 5 minutes 28 seconds for a decision to be made.
That had already been made, by the way.
That had already been made. So the goal wasn't disallowed. They just confirmed what the linesman already said.
The linesman put his flag up, it was offside. 5 minutes, 28 seconds later, it was confirmed that he was offside.
There were no lines at first. The first line they drew 3 minutes into the process was not parallel, and it also ran through the body of Jay Rodriguez, so it made him look on when it wasn't. And then they finally got it right. But would have that happened
Good point.
if the Spurs-Liverpool debacle didn't? Maybe they're learning. Maybe they're not, maybe they are taking their time, which, it benefited us, I suppose.
And listen, we may have, because of the title, we may have Liverpool fans here, so I do want to counteract the fact that I'm sure they would have preferred it to have taken 5 minutes to get the decision right. So, because of the Diaz one was obviously an absolute disgrace. But 5 minutes, 28 seconds is just outrageous. And you see it back, and what's frustrating, we mentioned it in our second look show, is that the fact that we're at the game and we're having to look at social media to see what's going on. And there was a green line which indicates he's onside, and then they went, oh, but that's cutting off half his body. So and it took, like I say, over 5 minutes. It was a joke, and like I say, it's not surprising me, and that's the frustrating thing, is every week we're doing the show, and it's just showing that every single week there's a debacle. It's crazy. Fortunately for ourselves, they managed to get the right decision in the end.
Seems to be a debacle every week for Gary O'Neill at
Molyneux
as well. I feel for him too. They drew 2-2 with Newcastle. By the way, how good was that Juan goal? How good was that goal? But
he's very good.
There was a penalty given to Newcastle, which ex-Cherries striker Callum Wilson netted, however, should have been given.
It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty in a million years. And I feel for Gary because we know it's easier for us because we know when he was our manager we had barely any decisions. He's gone to Wolves and it's the same thing's happening. He must think there's some sort of conspiracy on him. And I thought he was... the thing that happened now, he'd probably get some sort of fine for what he said.
But he didn't actually say anything. He just said that, there's no point.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to say? He's angry in the moment. He's not saying anything. Yeah. Yet he'll probably still get a fine because he's not. Yeah.
I mean, what can he do? It's just not a penalty, and then you think, okay, we've got technology now to see that that's not a penalty, and they don't do anything about it. It was a joke, mate, and you're getting that all the time at the moment. And what I'm saying is for Gary it must be, because everyone always says, oh, it probably even itself out. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it is for him at the moment.
Nah,
so
bless him.
but good sides for him if it does even itself out, because they're doing all right. So good point for him. But it wasn't anything like it was a dive or anything. It was just you in the moment you think, oh, maybe that is, but you watch it back and you go, oh no, clearly it isn't.
Yeah.
So that won't be given, and then it is, and you just scratching your head going, what are they doing? I don't know what they're doing, but yeah.
Not an official observation, however, Neto's going to be a big miss for them, isn't he?
Oh yeah, God. I mean, it's ironic in a horrible way that when we played Wolves really recently, and it was like the tale of two Netos. They've got a brilliant Neto. Our goalkeeper made an error who's called Neto. And they're both injured now, 2 weeks later. But it looked like obviously a hamstring bit. It looked like a bad one, like he might have ripped it. And they're going to struggle without him. Real blow for him. But good point for him as well against a side that have been in Europe again, which is obviously, affecting Newcastle a little bit. And they've got their injury problems as well. As I say, the penalty decision was a joke.
Any issues at Old Trafford this weekend?
Yeah, that's the only thing that Man United will say is that's never a penalty for Man City. Listen, Man City deserve to win the game. We've gone over it, but that's not... You could say it is a penalty, right? Let's say that he's pulled him back, because he kind of has. Hoyland has tugged back. Was it Rodri?
Yeah, it was.
He's definitely tugged him back. So you go, okay, penalty. But if you're giving that a penalty, there's at least 10 penalties in every single football match. That happens in the box of every game. I don't know why that one was different. I don't know why that was different. I'd love to know why it's different. I don't see how it is. And yeah, Man United can comfortably say, well, that wasn't 0-0, so that does affect the game. So another bad decision. Honestly, we genuinely can't talk about every decision in every game because otherwise this show would be 2 hours long. But they're the key ones for me, mate. But honestly, in every single game, you feel like there's some stuff that's ridiculous. I saw, just looking at the Arsenal game, obviously Arsenal won 5-0, there was no real controversy in the game. But they were talking about, some Arsenal fans, how every goal has to be checked for ages, and it's like, but there was no real, they go check an handball, but there wasn't one.
He couldn't even celebrate his goals properly, could he?
Yeah, and Eddie Nketiah scored his first hat-trick. I think it was like their first hat-trick an Arsenal players had since like Aubameyang and all this stuff, and you're thinking he could, he's a lad that should really celebrate it, and he's having to wait because it's like I said to you off air, didn't I? It's like every goal they're going, how can we chalk this off? Which is ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But anyway, upbeat because Bournemouth won.
Yeah, that's it.
It's Premier League show. Sorry.
Thank you for watching the Premier League show. Really appreciate it. If you're brand new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because we'll bring this to you every single Tuesday. And look, if you're interested in how we cover our own club, shows like this, shows out and about, shows on the road, our next away trips to Manchester City.
I'll tell you what, we focus this on the Premier League. Obviously, we just mentioned the VAR thing in there in the Bournemouth game. We always try and keep it away from Bournemouth. Try to, because obviously we have our own shows on that, and it's Premier League. But if we get something at Man City, you are joking me. If we get something at Man City, thumbnail, everything is about it. So just be warned that if we beat Man City, there's no way I'm staying away from it.
So it's going to be just a normal Premier League show?
Yeah, it will be, absolutely.
See you in the next one.
See you later. No chance. Or could we?